that would be 4 iron per second and under 1 copper per second. And so these produce at a rate of 1 for every 3.2 seconds, which is close to 3 seconds. So 3 of these should be almost equivalent to 1 per second. And so 3 times 4, that's 12 iron smelting, and 3 copper smelting. For if I were to make these 2 modules together as one module, which I will, somewhat extreme. And of course, according to the standard that I have arbitrarily defined, power must be transmitted through the primary bus. Or at least it would if I had any power poles left. These 2 branches already make everything so much easier. Must conform to the grid. Patterns, they make everything so much easier to define mathematically, or actually logically. Mathematics is just a subset of logic. Yeah, but don't worry about that. The only reason there's copper here is to make circuits, and so this should immediately be formed into cables. Actually, that is a consumption rate of 2 copper per second, which is much more than is even available. We don't even need to fully utilize this assembler. It would appear that 3 arms is sufficient for output. And that should immediately be routed to the circuit assembler, which should be just at the output of just at the end of the iron refinement. And now that we have those components, we can focus on belts, which are the only intermediary component remaining until full the production of the complete product. We also require gears. Not for any complete products, so those should only be intermediary for belts, which should be directly after gears. And having fast arms would be would be severely preferable to having multiple slow arms. And now all of the intermediary components are fully assembled. The last components should be directly after these. They both require belts and plates, but only one of them requires circuits. And so, actually, this can be made much simpler if they run together. And this can take on this form. How rapidly are these produced? Less than 1 per second. And so, here, the two final production units can be installed. Of course, a temporary solution. All of this is a temporary solution. And don't produce too many, otherwise most of them will be wasted before we can upgrade the technology and obsolete all of those. Wait, what's the verb form of obsolete? Obsolise? In the English language, a general rule is any noun, verb, or adjective should be transformable into any of the other forms. Yes, now these are no longer a concern. However, what is a concern is these feed rates, which are insufficient to say the least. There. And now, iron being insufficient is the new problem again. So now we have production for all basic logistic components, which should make all of this much easier. After this, after expanding mining operations for iron and copper, because they are both lacking, the next priority will be production of assemblers and mining drills. And now that will be less of a problem than before, but not very much less. And this is performing adequately. Should keep personal backlog of these components. a, a a pro tip, as it were, would be to keep at least one stack of every commonly used component in the inventory at a time. Multiple stacks for belts, because they are the most frequently used component. And so that way, always prepared to install new facilities. Mining rates still feel vastly inferior to what they should be. And where should the science facility be? Probably much further down than this. And there should probably be a branch right here for not having this be so linear that it's impractical. However, are we even concerned with impracticality now that we're doing all of this? I'm not sure this has even been done yet. The supreme backlogging, yes. And everything is far more robust and flexible than it even needs to be, which is preferable to being painted into a corner, to say, and these will require similar components to before, only without the belts. Only gears. These cliffs will make this much more difficult. They're already in the way. I could just turn the entire bus so that it's pointing that direction. I don't see why not. In fact, that would probably be preferable to branching, since... Are we even going to use this corrupted sector in the south? No, because it's impractical. Well, not because it's impractical, but because I just don't want to. To be logically correct, that is. And this will be a similar module to here. In fact, this should be a blueprint for later, when blueprints become relevant. And now to perform the consumption calculations again. These can be produced in